the study that I gravitated towards due to what happens often within the urban environment. I'll tell you a little bit about myself before I get into the PowerPoint. Today they call me Coach Hartman, and I'll tell you why. But first I want to say I worked in the field of human services for 16 years. I worked 10 years within the criminal justice environment. Got burnt out from that, and then I moved into the psychiatric environment. So now I've been working in psychiatry for 6 years. Now working in psychiatry for 6 years, and now I work here as well as an adjunct professor. Recently I just became a clinical director. And I tell you all this because I've been busy. I've been busy to stay out of this cage, the cage of learned helplessness. So, one of the things I talk about is from boy to man in a concrete jungle. I call it a concrete jungle because in the elements of the urban environment, there's a lot of things taking place. A lot of lack of financial stability, lack of strong family relationships, lack of men inside of homes, lack of education. So all these lacks within this environment, this concrete jungle, takes a really lasting effect on individuals. So my plight is to push against this whole idea of learned helplessness. So this gentleman, Martin Seligman, also has a theory called positive psychology, and it focuses on the resilient self. So what combats learned helplessness is your resilient self. So I'm going to stop there and we're going to move on into the PowerPoint so it can become even more clear exactly where I want to take this message. Okay? First, learned helplessness, as you see, learned helplessness is when a person begins to believe that they have no control over their situation, even when they do. This happens as a person experiences some failures, setbacks, and painful inhibitors, things in their way often. The disposition or the place an individual ends up in life due to constant setbacks and failures and inhibitors, things in their way, is what's the point of trying? It happens often within an urban environment, and I'm here to push a message that what can combat that is that resilient self that's within you, but it sits dormant because the learned helplessness is looming so much. It has a person to want to just lay down and not get back up or even realize their resilient self. So I'm here to pump that resilient self and promote that resilient self. To drive this point even further, this is the cover of my book here. Handsome young boy, would you agree? So this is a handsome young man, but I put this on the front of my book for a few reasons. Why? Because the eyes are the window of the soul. And also within the urban environment, people feel as though, this part of the life is non-existent. No, we were children. Wonderful, innocent spirits at one time. We just didn't grow to be a man and that's all. No, it's a human inside of these people in this urban environment. So the cover of my book is just to represent that there's history in a person's life. And they come from somewhere. And they're coming out of something. Make this point to you really quickly. On the front of my book, again at the bottom, it says, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. So the idea about maturity and the struggle of maturity is well known. It's well known biblically. That there's a struggle to mature. You heard it. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I became a man, put away childish things. Biblically, historically, it's understood that it's a struggle maturing. So, I'll give you another point. On the back of my book that is not up here, there's a gentleman by the name of Scott Peck. He wrote a book called A Road Less Traveled.